Good day, here are the headlines from the Philippine News Agency. We begin in Washington, D.C., where the Philippines, United States, and Japan have forged a historic trilateral alliance by committing to protect the Indo-Pacific region as well as enhance relations in trade and economy. During the Trilateral Summit, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., U.S. President Joe Biden, and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida agreed on maintaining rules-based order, addressing climate change, and boosting investments. Marita Moje has our top story.
The Philippines has forged a stronger trilateral cooperation with the United States and Japan as they vowed to protect the Indo-Pacific region. Malacanang said the creation of the historic alliance resulted from the first ever trilateral meeting of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., U.S. President Joe Biden, and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida at the White House. Marcos, in his opening remarks, said the Philippines, U.S., and Japan pledged to build stronger cooperation that aims to secure a peaceful, stable, and prosperous Indo-Pacific region through friendship and partnership.
Today's historic summit is a culmination of several preparatory engagements between our foreign ministries, our national security advisors, and our vice ministers, as well as the conduct of trilateral maritime exercises and joint development cooperation. But this meeting can be just a beginning. Facing the complex challenges of our time requires concerted efforts on everyone's part, a dedication to a common purpose, and an unwavering commitment to the rules-based international order. This is a meeting that looks ahead. As we deepen our ties and enhance our coordination, we seek to identify ways of growing our economies and making them more resilient, climate-proofing our cities and our societies, sustaining our development progress, and forging a peaceful world for the next generation. Today's summit is an opportunity to define the future that we want and how we intend to achieve it together.
Meanwhile, the three nations sought to enhance their economic relations with a particular focus on creating more resilient, climate-proofing cities and societies and sustaining progress. The three leaders announced the unveiling of the first partnership for global infrastructure and investment corridor. The initiative will be known as the Luzon Corridor, which will usher in new infrastructure projects to connect Subic Bay, Clark, Manila, and Batangas. Among these high-impact infrastructure projects include ports, rail, clean energy, semiconductors, supply chains, and other forms of connectivity in the Philippines. The U.S. and Japan also vowed to help boost the Philippines' efforts to address climate change and create industries and more jobs for Filipinos. In line with these economic developments, the Philippines is considering forging a bilateral free trade agreement with the U.S. on cyberspace and digital technology. Philippine Ambassador to the U.S. Jose Manuel Romualdez said the U.S. is looking at the Philippines as a major investment hub. He said the U.S. direction would be clarified in the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity meeting to be held in Manila next month. Romualdez added that the Philippines is also eyeing similar trade ties with Japan. President Marcos hailed the developments in the collaboration on the planned nuclear energy investment of Washington-based Ultra-Safe Nuclear Corporation in the Philippines. Marcos met with the USNC's top executives, led by its Chief Executive Officer Francesco Venmeri, to discuss the progress in the firm's investment in micro-modular reactors to bring a reliable and clean energy source to the Philippines. Energy Secretary Rafael Lutilla told Marcos that the ongoing legislative measures in Congress that would provide the legal framework for the company's investment and operation in the Philippines has been passed by the House of Representatives as House Bill 9293 or the Philippine National Nuclear Energy Safety Act and House Bill 9876 or the Philippine Nuclear Liability Act. The Philippines and the U.S. earlier signed the agreement for cooperation concerning peaceful uses of nuclear energy or the 123 agreement in November last year. For the PNA Headlines, I am Marita Muaje.
U.S. President Joe Biden reiterated on Thursday his government's ironclad defense commitments to Japan and the Philippines. In his remarks at the opening of the first Trilateral Summit between Washington, Tokyo and Manila, Biden stressed that any attack on Philippine aircraft or vessels in the South China Sea would invoke the Mutual Defense Treaty. Biden described Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida as friends and partners bound by a shared vision and pursuit of a peaceful, stable, and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. Earlier, Biden and Marcos reaffirmed their commitment to uphold international law amid escalating aggression by China in the South China Sea. For his part, Kishida said their meeting will make history as he stressed that multi-layered cooperation is essential. Kishida echoed Biden's sentiments to defend and further solidify a free and open international order. The Philippines, US, and Japan forged a stronger trilateral alliance as they vowed to protect the Indo-Pacific region and secure a better future for all.
And I want to be clear, the United States defense commitments to Japan and to the Philippines are ironclad. They're ironclad. As I said before, any attack on Philippine aircraft, vessels, or armed forces in the South China Sea would invoke our Mutual Defense Treaty. When we stand as one, we're able to forge a better future for all.
Shifting gears now, the Commission on Elections aims to achieve 70 to 80% overseas voter turnout for the 2025 midterm polls through the pilot implementation of internet voting. Comelec spokesperson John Rex Laudianco says while they consider the 38% overseas voter turnout in the 2022 polls as the highest in overseas voting history, it remains low when compared to local voter turnout. As such, he says Comelec wants to increase voter turnout by allowing people to vote online from home, work, or even at sea, as long as they have internet access and registered devices. The Comelec Special Bids and Awards Committee on Thursday awarded to the joint venture of SMS Global Technologies Incorporated and Sequentech Incorporated the contract for online voting and counting system after it was declared as having the lowest calculated bid at 112 million pesos. The project has an approved budget of 465.8 million pesos. The Philippine National Police is set to dispatch vehicles to provide free rides to commuters amid the impending strike by transport groups next week. PNP spokesperson Colonel Jean Fajardo says their vehicles would augment those provided by other government agencies. She says commuters who are affected by the transport strike may simply hail PNP patrol vehicles for a free ride. She also assures the PNP will enforce maximum tolerance during the strike. Currently, Fajardo says the PNP is coordinating with transport groups to identify possible rally areas for their protection and to prevent traffic congestion. Transport groups Piston and Manibela earlier announced their planned two-day strike next week, following the announcement of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. that the April 30 deadline for the franchise consolidation of public utility vehicles would no longer be extended. To say that feeling the heat nowadays is an understatement. Weather Bureau PAGASA says several areas across the country will continue to experience an intense heat index today. According to PAGASA, 6 areas are expected to experience heat index ranging from 42 to 44 degrees Celsius. These include Dagupan City, Pangasinan, Bacnotan, La Union, Puerto Princesa City, Palawan, Aborlan, Palawan, Catarman, Northern Samar, and Cotabato City. PAGASA says those who are in areas experiencing a danger level heat index may likely encounter heat cramps and heat exhaustion, and continued exposure may also lead to heat stroke. Temperature in Metro Manila will range from 26 to 33 degrees Celsius, while Baguio City will have the lowest temperature at 17 to 24 degrees Celsius. PAGASA earlier said the heat index in the country would peak in April and May. That's the latest and the biggest stories on the PNA Headlines. For more news updates, please visit our website pna.gov.ph or our Facebook and X account, Philippine News Agency. The PNA Headlines is also streamed via the Silvisio Facebook page. You may also watch the PNA Headlines through the Philippine News Agency's YouTube account, via the News and Information Bureau website nib.gov.ph, under PNA News, or on the Facebook page of the Presidential Communications Office, or PCO. I'm Bench Bondok. This is the PNA Headlines, bringing stories that unite the nation.